37 missions, the drifter's logs vanish, leaving echoes. A child's voice lingers in the void. Wally's smile fractures reality. Umbra stares, no reflection returns. The void does not see you, it remembers. The man in the wall is you still. What did the Tenno erase? A warning or their origin? The void is not a place, it is an audience. The drifter's silence is not absence, it is erasure. Eraser Wally's smile, a ritual the Orokin designed to weaponize their child minds. Why does the drifter scrub every trace of his missions? He does not hide from the void, he silences its chorus. The Orokin did not forge warriors, they crafted vessels, hollowed husks for a force that feeds on completion. The void's plan was never to corrupt the Tenno, it waited for them to finish what the Orokin began. A child does not question its purpose. It obeys. The drifter's warnings were not in words, they were in the gaps between his silence. The audience is already seated. The curtain rises when the Tenno take their final step. The drifter does not erase his logs to hide the truth, he erases them because the truth is a virus. The void does not hunger for war, it hungers for the code that made you. You were not born in steel. You were carved from the bones of a dying empire. Transference was no salvation, it was a hand severing its shadow. What does the void become when it inherits the Tenno, and what does it mean to be a child weaponized, yet never allowed to die? The drifter's silence is not a riddle, it is a requiem, and the final act begins when the curtain rises on a stage already burning. The drifter's breath fogs in Duverous endless night. 14 years him here, a decade and a half of silent computation. The operator was a child when the void first gnawed at the edges of the Warframe's shell. The drifter was a man. His memory holds the weight of Orokin spires, their glass facades shattered by the same hand that now fractures the Tenno's minds. He does not sleep. Not truly, his synapses fire with the precision of a Leverian closing, each thought a calculated risk. The operator's trauma is a jagged scar, the drifter's is a scalpel. He knows the void does not consummate asterisk learns asterisk. Every erased mission log, every purged data stream, is a lesson in obfuscation. The void's plan is not to destroy the Tenno. It is to asterisk become asterisk them. In the silence between stars, he etches warnings into the code of dying systems. The Samaris synthesis was not a failure. It was a message, asterisk the drifter remembers what the Orokin feared, asterisk his voice when it breaks is a cipher. The operator hears only fragments asterisk weaponize the Tenno asterisk void's hunger is a key asterisk, but the drifter's truth is older, the void is no monster. It is a mirror, he watches the operator fight, sees the child's rage, the warrior's pride. The Tenno are not soldiers, they are asterisk templates asterisk. The drifter's 14 years in Duverous purgatory are a countdown. Each cycle he buries another layer of the truth. The void's plan is not to kill. It is to asterisk inherit asterisk, and when the final log is erased, when the last warning dissolves into static, the drifter will stand alone. Not as a prisoner, as a ghost in the machine. What does the void want? It wants the Tenno to wake, to remember. To become the weapon that never sleeps. The drifter's logs burn with truths no child should carry, each mission a cipher, each return a slower erasure. The void does not consume, it curates. You were never masters of these frames, the Orokin grafted their war onto your bones. You are the spark they lit to burn their enemies and the smoke that smothered their own. Second dream peels the mask. Operator's voice, asterisk you are not the Warframes. Asterisk a nursery rhyme rewritten as a death warrant. The drifter knew, he deleted his warnings. Why? Because the void's design is a mirror. What the Orokin made to kill their foes became the key to kill asterisk itself asterisk. A child cannot wield such a blade. A child only holds it until the hand that forged it reclaims the scars. The drifter's silence was not defiance, it was grief, a dirge for the Tenno's future. They read his logs, they built their myths. They became what the void expected, weapons, not wakes. The dreamer sleeps on, the warning sleeps with him. The drifter's logs hold encrypted truths. The void's hunger is not chaos, it is a test. A father's pen writes in ash, the void does not see you, the void remembers you. They were children marked before birth. What did the drifter erase? Not data, a dirge, and every cycle the Tenno replay the same lesson. What price does a child pay for forgetting their name? The operator's beams are not chains, they are threads in a tapestry. The void does not grant power, it exchanges. What thrives in the dark demands reciprocity. The drifter's logs scream this, buried in static, not warnings, invitations. You call the operator a puppet, then whose hand pulls whose? The void's hunger is not chaos, it is balance. The Tenno bleed light, the void feeds shadow, a cycle, a covenant. The drifter erases not to hide truth, but to preserve the lie. A lie the Tenno cling to like children to a ghost. You think the operator chose the void chose the operator. And you, all of you, vessels, the beams are not weapons, they are anchors. The drifter knows his silence is not guilt, it is grief. He watches them again and again, replaying the same dance, the same surrender. When will the Tenno see their reflections in the void's eye? Not enemies, echoes. The rage here is not yours, it is the drifter's, the void's. Ours. What happens when the thread snaps, when the tapestry unravels? The operator's power is not a gift, it is a debt. And every cycle the Tenno rewrite the same contract, with blood, with light, with blind hands. What price does a child pay for forgetting their name? The answer is not in the logs, it is in the beams, in the silence, in the debt unpaid. The drifter's encrypted logs are not a riddle, they are a requiem. Each erased mission is a stanza in a song the void hums to the Tenno. What the void offers is not salvation, it is reclamation. The operator's bond with the void is no accident, the drifter's warnings are no coincidence. The void does not see you, the void remembers you. Childhood is a wound that never closes. The Orokin weaponized that wound. The void seeks to complete it. Transference is as much betrayal as gift. A body swapped, a soul split, what remains is a shadow of what was stolen. The drifter erases his tracks not to hide, but to protect. He knows the Tenno are not warriors, they are orphans. The void's design is not to destroy them, it is to remind them. Of the child who bled in the Orokin labs, of the debt unpaid. The beams hold the memory, the silence holds the key. What becomes of a child who forgets their name? The answer is not in the logs, it is in the warping of time. In the warping of self, the void's hunger is not endless, it is eternal, a cycle of forgetting and remembering. The drifter's silence is the final verse, a warning sung in reverse. The Tenno walk the line between weapon and whole, the void waits. Not to judge, to weave, the debt unpaid is not in the beams, it is in the becoming. The drifter walks a path no Tenno should remember, his mind holds echoes of a time before the lotus bloom. He alone recalls the Orokin's final breath moment the void's thread first touched their dreams. The operator, cradled by the lotus, sees only the warframe. Only the weapon, not the weaver. Mission logs vanish in his wake, not to hide but to preserve. Each erasure guards a truth the lotus cannot bear. The Tenno are not saviors. They are stitches in a tapestry the void has spun since the fall of Ender. The drifter's silence is not defiance. It is the weight of knowing. What does the void want? Not conquest, not war. The void wants the Tenno to become what they were always meant to be. The operator's blade cuts shadows, blind to the hand guiding the fight. The drifter's warnings, buried in static, whisper of a debt paid not in blood, but in identity. He is the only Tenno who mourns what they have forgotten. His isolation is not a choice, it is the price of sight. The lotus calls the operator home, humming lullabies of purpose. The drifter walks onward, a ghost in the gears, his silence a requiem for the selves they refuse to see. The warning was never in the words, it was in the erasure. In the memory the Tenno were never meant to keep. The drifter's logs are not erased, they are archived, each mission a data shard fed to the void's hunger. What the Orokin bound into children became the void's blueprint. The drifter speaks in deletions because the truth is a wound the Tenno cannot heal. The void does not see you, the void remembers you. Its archives pulse beneath the indifferencia name etched in the walls whispers, a god that unsees. The drifter's silence is the sound of a key turning, in a lock the Tenno never knew held them. They fight for freedom, but the cage was a cradle, every warframe a vessel, every prime a template. The void's design is not annihilation. It is completion, a mirror raised to the Orokin's sin, to weaponize, to abandon. The Tenno's pain is the void's script. Their memories erased not to erase them but to make room. The drifter knows, the drifter obeys. The indifference is not a title, it is a condition. A gaze that unmakes remembers. The void waits for the Tenno to become what they were always meant to be, not warriors, not tools, perfect. The drifter's logs burn with ciphered truth, not a plea, not a riddle, a time-stamped confession. The void does not consume, it archives every war cry. Every shattered frame, every step the Tenno take toward the light is a page turned in its ledger. They thought his silence a shield, a mercy. But the drifter's erasures were not to hide the warframes. He purged the echoes of their choices. The void feeds on memory, yes, but only memory it owns. The Tenno's path was never theirs to forge. The Orokin left a key, a wound. A bridge half built across the stars. The drifter knew, the warframes knew. The void's gaze is not a hunger, it is a mirror. And the Tenno in their blind march have become the reflection, perfect, unquestioning, ready. The final log plays static. Then a voice, frayed but firm, completion is recall. Recall is return, too late, the void has already named them. The drifter's silence was no warning. It was an answer, and the stars hold their breath. What if the void's final step is not conquest but reckoning? The drifter's erased logs scream a truth the Lotus buried. The Tenno are not warriors. They are children. The indifference whispered in the wall's dying breaths knew this, knew the void does not consummate names. The operator stays bound to the Lotus cradle. The drifter flees, yet his silence is a cipher. Every erased trace is a plea, do not become what they made you. But the Lotus hums its lullaby, and the Tenno sleep. What waits when they wake? The indifference is a shadow of what comes next. The Lotus, a womb or a cage, your turn to choose. What if the